whatever.
You're very professional. You've got the pad pushed up to the bed and the chair pushed up to the bed, and you're using your bed as a desk.
Using my bed as a desk.
As a desk. I use my bed as a table to eat on. That's why there's always food stains on it.
Now, why would you be using a bed when you have a perfectly good tummy?
Because I'm not a human otter.
Okay.
Like other people we know.
Okay, that's fine.
So, this is a special edition of Wrestle Talk.
Aren't they all special editions?
Well, they're mostly on the road.
If we do them infrequently enough, I think they're all special.
Okay, fine. I guess they're all special. Every one of my children is special. No, I don't love any of them more than the others.
I don't love any of them.
Oh, wow.
Period.
I'm sure you regret not pulling out.
I knew it was something.
Well, then this is a non-special, completely normal edition.
Boring.
Of ISUXDIX Hearts Wrestling, which is pretty obvious considering ISUXDIX is wrestling.
Yes. Why would we do it if we didn't like it?
Some of us love wrestling more than others.
Yep.
Some of us do not love wrestling at all. Some of us loathe wrestling and hate everything about it. Luckily for you, that is not either one of us recording right now.
That's who's here today.
The two that hate wrestling the most
Yep.
are the two that constantly record the wrestling podcast.
Yeah. And by constantly, once every month or two.
Only when we drive to Seattle or when there's a big show or the beginning of a year.
Yeah. In this case, there are both of those things.
So, as you are listening to this, you would have previously listened to our episode where we talk about and review the New Japan Dome show.
By review, you mean preview and predict.
Preview and predict, sorry. Which is happening previous to recording this, or after recording this.
Yep.
Because we are awaiting the show to begin in a little over
3 hours.
3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yep.
So while we waited, we decided we would record 2 podcasts. So we're recording the one with the predictions for the show, and we're also going to do the 2013 awards.
Yes.
Because we like to give our opinions on things and tell other people to go fuck themselves.
And not unlike the Venga Boys, we like to party.
We like to party.
We like to party.
Hey Scott, did you ever find out did you ever listen to the bonus track of Savage Garden?
I haven't listened to it, but I didn't find out what it is.
Oh, but you should have listened to it.
I will. It's called Mine.
Oh, well, let me know how it is.
I'm going to check it out. The backstory to that is there was a track by Savage Garden, the best band ever, that I didn't know existed. It was a bonus track on the Japanese release of their first album that I now have to go track down and listen to because it's probably great, like everything else on that album. They had fucking 8 singles off of that album. Did you? Nope.
That's a lot of singles for one album.
Yep.
That is absolutely a lot of singles for one album.
It's crazy.
That's like a goddamn
They're
Elvis
amazing.
album.
Yeah. That's why they only needed 2 albums. 2 albums and they're out. They probably made $12 billion.
16 singles, if you go by that.
I don't know if the second album had...
A single?
No. It had Affirmation. It had the Animal Song and 1 or 2. It probably had 4.
4? Still, 10 singles on 2 albums, or 12 singles on 2 albums.
Not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
No,
Enough to get by on.
they had more singles in those 2 albums than Korn has had on the last 8 albums.
Yes. Savage Garden, better than Korn.
Better than Korn.
And don't you forget it.
Depends who you ask. So we've got a plethora of categories. Well, where to begin?
Pick a lower tier one, and we'll just cross them off as we go.
Okay, well, let's give the 2013 award for Best Gimmick.
Best gimmick, you say? All right, fire away.
Well, I gave it 2 too. One may not be as a specific 2013 gimmick, but it is new to me, and that is Yujiro.
Yep.
Yujiro's gimmick, where all he does is bang pussy.
It's a fairly new gimmick. I think he started it in 2012.
Well, and I wasn't aware of it in 2012, so
Yeah.
we're good. And to coincide with that, I gave it to the Wyatt family because I do enjoy everything that they do, with the exception of letting Eric Rowan wrestle.
Nah, you can't win them all.
Anything that Brody Lee does is great.
Yeah.
So those are my two, and Scott, what do you got for
I've got one overlap with you. It's the Wyatt family. I think their debut onto actual WWE television from NXT was really well done. They hyped it up well. Wyatt's a great promo, and yeah, I think it's
And
been,
creepy as shit.
and creepy as shit. Crazy spider walk.
Spider walk.
Which he has now learned to do without separating his shoulder.
Without hurting his shoulder.
So that's a plus. Yeah, and I think they're like a cooler Waylon Mercy from 1995.
Which, as Scott knows, I am a huge fan of
Awesome.
Waylon Mercy.
Waylon Mercy was awesome.
Waylon Mercy was great. Dan Spivey, very underrated.
Yeah. And my other one is just before we started recording, we were just trying to we don't know a lot of each other's picks, but we just mentioned a couple of categories, and when we stopped on best gimmick, and and we're both like, wait, what are we doing? It's fucking El Torito. It's the best midget wrestler of all time in a bull costume.
He's a little bull.
As a manager.
As a manager.
I love how El Torito was introduced to my life, because I think we were watching a taped New Japan pay-per-view at my house on a Monday, or maybe a Tuesday, and so Raw had already happened from the Monday, and that was the Monday that Los Matadores debuted, and Dan said to me, have you seen Raw yet? And I hadn't. I had it taped and hadn't watched it. And he said, oh, so you haven't seen Los Matadores debut? I'm like, oh, I haven't. I don't really care. It's the Colons in kind of dumb masks. And he's like, oh, you don't know who their manager is? I'm like, I didn't know they had a manager. He's like, it's Masquerita Dorada. I'm like, oh, shit. I don't even think I knew he had been signed. And then and Dan's like, and guess what his gimmick is? I'm like, what's his gimmick? And Dan goes, he's a little bull. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing.
The best part about it is, like, I honestly, for the first, like, couple weeks, would specifically watch their match because I wanted to see what he would do.
Oh, yeah.
Now I watch the entrance and fast forward to the end.
Yep.
And watch him do something at the end, and that's it.
Yep.
Do not watch the rest of their match.
So you need. Although their finisher's kind of interesting for a low impact double team.
Yeah, for sure. And they also have the spinning Irish whip.
Ooh, I do like the behind the back Irish whip.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun, if not overly choreographed.
So I guess best gimmick transitions into worst gimmick.
Sure.
My choice for worst gimmick is the poor man's Stephanie McMahon, who apparently never took acting classes. That would be Dixie Carter. Heel Dixie Carter.
Yeah, especially.
Because she clearly doesn't get it. She just doesn't understand what being on TV and cutting a promo and talking and being coherent and not being socially awkward is. Because all of those things come out when she tries to talk.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't put Dixie myself. I think there's an endearing sadness to heel Dixie. And, like, she says funny things sometimes, inadvertent or advertent, if that's the opposite of inadvertent. Like the Wheel of Dixie.
The Wheel of Dixie.
Spinning the Wheel of Dixie and, like, referring to TNA as Dixieland.
Dixieland.
Like, there's something a little bit adorable about it. So I didn't put it. Like, at face value, yeah, it's terrible. It's Dixie doing, like, the worst man Stephanie McMahon, who I don't even love the original of in the first place. So yeah, it's bad, but I don't know. There's something just a little bit charming about it. She's a terrible actress, though, and bad public speaker.
Oh, she's the worst.
Yeah. So
And who did you choose?
I chose. This is another thing we talked about. I just wanted to fit it in somewhere because it deserves some kind of mention in a negative category. Just the Total Divas.
Total Divas.
Just like how just a chunk of the random women on the show are on Total Divas, and some were faces, some were heels, then all had to turn face.
Yeah.
to become the Total Divas faction to feud with the not Total Divas faction, who all had to turn heel, some of whom were face. So it fits better under, I guess it fits better under Worst Feud, but I had enough things in Worst Feud already, so I just wanted to give these guys a mention here because
they're
it's
terrible.
bad. And I haven't watched the show, but I always hear Brian and Vinny review the show, and it sounds bad too.
The thing too with them though is like Total Divas really only has one good wrestler.
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. I meant John Cena, but
Okay.
like Natty's really the only good one. One of the
Yeah.
Bellas is acceptable.
One's terrible.
One of the Blacks is acceptable.
Yeah.
But not great. Like
No.
not above average.
Same with the Bella. Like, the better Bella, yeah, there is a better Bella. The better Bella's not good.
No, but she's acceptable as
Yeah.
a women's wrestler. And then you look at the non-divas, and there are 2 acceptable wrestlers. I mean, do we
AJ.
count like AJ and then I guess Caitlyn's okay?
It's okay.
But then, you know, the rest of them, like Oksana,
Xana's terrible.
Alicia Fox.
Alicia Fox is pretty bad.
Tamina's fine, I
Tamina's
guess.
okay. Someone else really sucks. Rosa Mendez is terrible.
Oh, the tranny?
The tranny.
Because she's a tranny. There's no way she's not a tranny. She was born with a dick. Look at her face.
Who's the other one? Eve Torres? Is she still a thing?
No, Eve's gone.
Gone.
I don't remember who the other one is.
Is Layla around?
Layla might be the other one.
If she is, she's bad. Summer Rae occasionally wrestles. She's, again, so-so.
Yeah. We didn't even bring up the 2 worst. Eva Marie.
Oh, well, yeah.
And the one that they kicked off the show because she was too bad.
Yeah,
JoJo.
JoJo. I think JoJo's actually a better wrestler than Eva Marie, though.
Yeah, but they're both garbage.
Yeah, Eva Marie's really garbage, though.
Yeah.
Like, Eva Marie makes Velvet Sky look passable.
That's pretty hard.
Yes.
But she did it. She succeeded.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we could move on to what do you believe was the worst Fed of this past year?
TNA.
And I'm going to stop myself right there because I was going to say, I'm assuming we both have the same answer
TNA.
because it should be the answer until the end of time.
It's because it's TNA.
Because the answer is TNA or Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But I will say this, Scott. This might be the last year that they're even nominated for Worst Fed because
hope it is.
They might not be a Fed
I've
anymore.
been saying it for 9 goddamn years. TNA is going out of business this year.
When something goes up for sale and nobody puts a bid in for it,
Bad sign.
that's probably a good chance.
When something stops running pay-per-views,
This-
maybe also bad.
maybe also
When
that.
something stops signing all of their top stars.
Yeah, when you can't afford to keep your company running. Also, too, the main problem with that is they paid Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
so much money that they couldn't even afford to keep guys like Devon Dudley, who
Yeah.
was in their main storyline at the
Yeah.
time,
They're like-
and Doc Gallows, who was in their main storyline at the time. They barely signed Ken Anderson.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of, we're not doing anything with you, we gotta let you go. This was, hey, we're doing a lot with you, we still have to let you go because we are financially irresponsible.
Because they're paying a 60-year-old man who can't even bend at the waist more money than the rest of the roster combined.
I listened to the Wrestling Observer predictions show, and someone said someone's prediction was Hogan drops the leg at WrestleMania, and Brian said the same thought I did. I'm like, no, he's not. He physically can't do it.
No, he cannot do it.
He will crumble into dust if he does
You know
that.
what? Even what WrestleMania was it? WrestleMania 21, where it was Eugene got beat up by Muhammad Hassan and Daivari, and Hogan came down and made the save.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it then.
Nope.
That was 2005.
That was 9 years of pain ago. So, yeah, he ain't doing it
You
now.
expect him to do it now?
That was many surgeries ago.
That is horrible.
It's also weird that he's having so many surgeries considering he's not wrestling.
Here's the
but I
thing.
guess he's just broken down.
Hulk Hogan was a major part of my childhood, as I'm sure he was for most wrestling fans who weren't born in the 90s.
Yeah.
But Hulk Hogan ruined TNA. I'm sorry, like, I don't even care if TNA goes under. I haven't liked TNA for a long time. But Hogan ruined that company by being a selfish asshole.
He didn't help, I'll tell you that. It's
Hogan's a scumbag.
Hogan is a cancer.
He is a cancer. So that was an easy one.
Yeah, and neither of us even have like honorable mentions or anything like.
Nope, because there wasn't
just
anything
TNA. That's it.
Nope. What would you like to do next? Would you like to do... Who would you say is the best technical wrestler of the year?
Here's the thing with technical wrestler. On the Observer Awards, Daniel Bryan wins every year, and
As he probably should.
well, he should have from basically his debut, or at least 2001, until 2009. Like his entire time on the Indies, sure. He actually doesn't do much technical wrestling in WWE.
Not really.
He'll occasionally do it. If he's in with another good wrestler, they'll do some technical stuff at the beginning. But otherwise, not really. It's just pretty much straight WWE style.
I guess.
He is still 100% capable of being the number one technical wrestler in the world.
Yep.
Because he hasn't gotten any worse.
Nope.
He just isn't working that style. But I don't want to give it to someone just sort of on legacy. So I give it to two people who do much more of it on a regular basis. First being Shinsuke Nakamura of New Japan, and second being the guy he faced at last year's Tokyo Dome show, Kazushi Sakuraba, because he's done entire matches of mat work. His entire first match with Yuji Nagata was just technical wrestling, where like he did more in that match than probably Bryan Danielson's done this year. So, so I wanted to give it to two guys who do a lot of it.
That is a fair award.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a bunch of New Japan guys because a lot of their wrestling technique is based on psychology and transitions and chaining and all that. I did go with a guy who, to me, best technical wrestler is a guy who can have a good match no matter who he's matched up against, no matter what style he's against. And he's able to incorporate his moveset into the other guy's moveset and combine and bring it all around into a full circle.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
So as far as thinking about it, I went with Antonio Cesaro.
Sure.
Because this year he's had...
Stop punching with that where our recording device... No one can hear what I'm saying right now.
Okay.
Where our recording device is sitting.
I am a hand talker.
I was going to say, are you an Italian mother? Stop talking with your hands so much.
Be.
Paisano.
But yeah, anyway, Cesaro had one of the matches of the year, 2 or 3 falls with Sami Zayn, who, like a two E wrestlers, young up and comer, he's new to the E this year.
Yeah.
Then he just recently had a very good match with William Regal.
A very good technical match.
Who William Regal has not wrestled in like 8 months.
Yeah.
And is 48 years old.
Yeah.
So, he's having matches on TV where, I mean, he even had like a decent match with the Great Khali.
Yeah.
Like an acceptable match as far as Great Khali standards go.
Given the standards, yes.
Very, very acceptable match.
And Regal, definitely a guy who in past years, many past years, definitely another candidate for this category.
Absolutely. So yeah, I gave it to Cesaro because no matter, tag team matches against the Rhodes, tag team matches against the Usos, the matches in NXT this year, he's had a pretty good year as far as a guy who's not really getting a major push on the main roster. But I liked everything about it, so I gave it to him.
Yep, I dig it.
Okay, I will say next up, let's do who was the most improved wrestler of this year.
I've got a few, so I'll tell you them. The first one I wrote down. I don't know if I actually went back and ranked them. I don't know if he'd win. But the first one I wrote down was Michael Elgin, who I don't know if everyone would agree how much he improved year over year in 2012, because according to some, he did have a 5-star match with Davey Richards in 2012. I saw the match. It was good. I don't think it was 5 stars. I think it sort of got overrated because I think Meltzer was there live. He gave it 5 stars, and then everyone jumped on that.
And like we've said, when you're at a show, matches are always better.
Oh yeah,
than
live
they
matches
are when,
always
when you see them on tape.
Yeah, live matches always get bonus points from you when you rate them.
Which is why The Miz and Alex Riley versus John Cena from Over the Limit is the best match we've ever seen.
Yeah, because we saw it live.
Because we were there live.
Yeah. But Elgin, he's been super good and super consistent this year. Like, he's had a bunch of good matches. Like every match he had in PWG was good. Be it a couple singles he had or tagging with Brian Cage. Brian Cage is not the best wrestler in the world. He's good for a big kind of juiced up guy, but overall he's whatever. But they had some like really fun matches. They had, again, I was there live, so I'm overrating it, but one of my favorite matches of the year. I didn't put it on my match of the year list, but easily one of the best matches I've ever seen live, let alone this year, which was from PWG in March, which was Elgin, Cage, and Kevin Steen against flippy black guys.
So three big white guys.
3 big white guys versus 3 small black guys.
3 small flippy black guys.
Ricochet with Rich Swann and AR Fox. That match was just so fucking great. And and Elgin's been good in everything he's been in, and I'm very surprised he didn't win the ROH World Title this year. I think he will next year if nothing happens, and he could win the PWG title too, depending on. And he is Canadian, depending on how their booking goes. But PWG, I don't know. I guess for ROH too, does long title reigns, so it's not. It could go either way this year. But I think if he sticks around in both feds, he'll win both world titles eventually. And also I had Luke Harper / Brody Lee. He was always good. He was good. He was a good big guy in the Indies. I think he's honed himself a little more, and he's got to have a few kind of big time singles matches in WWE lately, and
which has really helped him.
Which helped him a lot.
Because I mean, it's separated him from like. Bray's a good talker, but a bad wrestler. Rowan's not a good talker because he doesn't talk,
or a good wrestler,
and he's not a good wrestler. Yeah. So it's really helped him to have good singles matches.
Yeah, and this is a case where when he was signed, he probably was good enough to go right to debuting on TV. But it's probably almost better he was in NXT for a while. So he sort of got the program and then moved up, and he's fit very well, and I think they like him, and I think if and when the Wyatt family thing ends, I think he'll do well for himself in singles. And the other thing, also NXT related, Adrian Neville / Pac, who again has been awesome for many years. The reason I put him in Improved is because he's always sort of been a spot fest guy. And because of the WWE style, he's been forced to learn a little slower pace. He still gets to do a lot of his high spots. I'm glad they let him keep the corkscrew shooting star. But the match, the reason he's on there is one match specifically. His 2 or 3 falls with Corey Graves, where he sold like a fucking champ, and I've never seen him sell like that before. And selling was like the big thing missing from his arsenal, and now he's got that. So besides promos, he's basically got the total package now.
Yep. Well, for me, I only wrote one down, but I thought of another one, but I'll say my choice was Goldust.
Yeah, we talked about Goldust.
We talked about this. I asked you if it counted because...
I would have put him if you weren't.
Because a year ago, he wasn't
wrestling.
He was not working, as far as I understand. He was not a road agent. He was not in the company. He wasn't with anybody. They did the storyline with Cody and brought him back.
Yeah.
And now he's the best goddamn worker in the company.
He's so good.
And not only is he the best worker in the company, but at his age, he's 45...
Somewhere in there, yeah.
He's added new moves.
He's doing a flying rana.
He does a top rope 180 crossbody.
He does a holy roller. Does a somersault off the apron.
He does everything now.
Yeah, he's
even changed his finisher now so that he does like sort of like a crossroads, but it's a suplex crossroads. Like at that age, you should not be like developing your abilities and character to the point of being a new wrestler.
Yeah.
But he's doing it.
And he's in good shape.
And he's in good shape. He's definitely stayed away from being his dad, although toward when he was in TNA as Black Rain,
I was going to say,
he was the fattest man.
He's a minimum 50, 60 pounds down from Black Rain.
Yeah, like he's in a phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
So
I
whatever
really
Cody's doing,
I really hope he doesn't fuck up, and I hope they continue to do stuff with him. I'm worried what'll happen once the Rhodeses lose the tag titles, but I really hope they keep him, because goddamn, he's so good. And he's a good promo.
Yep.
And he's legit, like, non-ironically, non-exaggeratingly, top 3 workers in the company.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, he's pretty good, and every match he has is entertaining.
Yeah, he straight up has not been in a bad match.
And he doesn't really botch things either.
No, that's the thing. I would love to work him.
Yeah.
Because he seems so fucking easy to work.
Yeah, he's never a guy.
I think people say that actually. I think I've heard that like it's just what like I think the only issue was like in mid 2000s or late 90s when he was high. It was not so good. But like when he's lucid, which he is now completely, and I think has been for some years.
Yeah.
Since TNA, I guess.
No, probably.
Just the easiest guy to work, because he's so good and knows so clearly what he's doing.
And the craziest part is how long he's been around the business.
Yeah.
He's been a wrestler since he was 18.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's been a wrestler. He's been wrestling for 25 years.
Yeah, like that's insane.
Yeah.
And then like the smaller honorable mention, I guess, would be, for me personally, would be Drake Younger.
Yeah, sure.
Because he's gotten away from his typical deathmatch.
Yeah.
And he's actually tried to make himself more of an actual professional wrestler.
Yeah. That being said, he did have a sweet death match in PWG.
I heard, but he's had some real, like, as far as, the reason I say this is because I follow him on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he always posts his matches.
Yeah.
And he's had some really good, like, matches. Like, he does, he's been doing a lot of high flying and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, he's actually improved himself, like,
and he also got in very good shape. Like, he used to be a chunky dude.
Yeah, now he's in really good shape. So, he's definitely an honorable mention for me, for sure. And I'm also, because I'm a big Drake Younger fan. So.
Yeah. No, he's good. He, and I'm
he's
sure...
he's done a lot of stuff in PWG recently, like, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure he's been doing stuff in CZW, but I haven't been paying as much attention to CZW. But yeah, PWG, he had a really good guerrilla warfare with Sami Callihan, where he got his head all busted open, and then he had like a good straight up title match with Adam Cole, and then I think just on the October show he was in a quite a good 4-way that on paper didn't look great, but apparently ended up really good. I haven't seen it yet, but just from the reviews, everyone was like, "Whoa, this was great," and like didn't expect it to be. It was, I think him, Anthony Nese, Tommaso Ciampa, and Brian Cage, which I might, if I was watching the DVD, I might even skip. But yeah, apparently he's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
And he's super charismatic.
Yeah, he seems like he's a pretty charismatic guy, and like
and legit a very nice dude. Like he's the opposite of cynical. He's like legit excited when a fan comes up to him because it's cool that he has a fan.
Yeah. Which is what every wrestler should fucking be. That
you assholes.
Like I get maybe some of the like older wrestlers shouldn't really be like that, but
yeah,
every indie wrestler should realistically
be excited that people like you.
Yeah, be the nicest guy ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, because to wrestling fans, if you're wrestling in the indies, no mainstream wrestling fan should even know who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they're watching only WWE or only TNA, I don't know why you're only watching TNA, but they shouldn't know who you are. So if you're at a show and somebody comes up to you and is like excited to meet you, you should be somewhat excited
too.
You shouldn't be fucking Petey Williams.
Yeah. To indie wrestlers' credit, most have been very nice. I've noticed that, maybe not so much in WWE, but on the indie scene, the bigger you are, the nicer you are, and it's the mid-level guys that tend to be not as nice because they, I don't know if they're just resentful or like feel they deserve better or what. And I hear it's also, like, I haven't really met many, but just from listening to podcasts of people who live in LA and stuff and deal with celebrities, same deal with celebrities. Like, the big celebrities are all usually pretty cool, and it's the mid-level ones that are the dick celebrities. So I think same thing in
maybe that's why they're not main-level celebrities.
Exactly.
They're dick faces.
Yeah.
I've never met any indie wrestlers. You've met some. You've met some cool ones. You've met some shitty ones.
Yeah,
you don't have to name. You don't have to name names, but for sure, there's a mixture.
Oh, no, I'll name any I can think of.
Petey Williams, asshole.
Petey Williams sucked. Roderick Strong, I could take or leave. But lots of cool ones. Like
I heard that Paul London's super cool.
London was awesome. Drake Younger's awesome.
I really want to meet Drake Younger.
Kevin Steen's awesome.
Yeah. Generico No Soul, Dan speaking French.
Yeah, must have been nice. I'm trying to think if there were any other particular dicks. Not really. Chuck Taylor's really cool. Yeah. Any others?
Davey Vega, fucking asshole.
Davey Vega sucks. You know how it goes.
That's how it is. It's fine. He's not listening.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say let's go with best face. My choice. I think it's a pretty obvious choice. I don't know if you put the same one as me.
The way you're saying, I think we're gonna have an overlap.
Well,
actually, no, we're not.
Realistically, the best face is Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, I actually forgot Daniel Bryan. I did.
Well, that's fair. If you're not thinking it, you're not thinking it.
I wasn't thinking it, but of course he is.
I mean, considering you're going to any building in the world,
he totally is,
and he's getting the entire crowd to chant his chant.
Yeah,
he's obviously the best. Like he's the clear number one choice. There are other choices.
Yeah.
But for me, I think he was the only choice for Face of the Year.
Yeah, no, totally reasonable, and yeah, I just forgot.
No, that's fine.
I forgot one of my favorite wrestlers, and clearly the Face of the Year, but that's fine. But I do have two of my other favorite wrestlers, and I think both are pretty reasonable choices. Hiroshi Tanahashi, number one face in New Japan. Even when he turns heel in a match, still gets cheered.
Even when he works heel heat on a guy who's more of a heel than him.
Yeah. Yeah. Super over it.
Fakes an injury.
Yeah. Tanahashi is a super talented John Cena, who he's pushed as the number one guy.
Yeah.
And he backs it up.
Yeah.
And he's charismatic.
Yep.
So.
And he's pretty.
And he's pretty. So, all good things. And then I guess a little less obvious pick, but I think still a good one when you think about it. Sami Zayn has been a face his entire career, as far as I can remember. Really can't do anything to get booed. He's so naturally cheerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now that he's got the mask off and can cut promos, I think he'll get cheered even more.
He's got a huge cult following in NXT.
Yeah.
If you watch any episode of NXT and he's out there, he's getting Olay chants, he's getting Sami Zayn chants.
He's wicked over it.
He can't do anything that won't get him cheered in there.
Yeah. So
I mean, he has matches with guys who are pretty bad, and the crowd's still behind him.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He's always over.
Yeah.
He's some other guys are, maybe they're a face most of the time or all the time, but they're not always that over. And I've never heard a real quiet El Generico or Sami Zayn match, because he's great.
He's high energy.
Crowd.
He's high energy, very high energy, and all of his moves are very high energy moves. Right? You're really getting behind everything he's doing. So.
Yeah, and he builds to every move so well, and he's great at getting you to cheer, and that's what a good face does. So.
So I said to Scott earlier that it's really weird for a guy who wrestled under a mask for that long, never spoke, and when he did, it wasn't in English, and it was very limited.
Yeah.
Comes to E, takes off his mask, and is that good at cutting promos.
Yeah, he's a great promo.
He is a great talker.
Yeah.
That's just funny to me that if he was that good of a talker all along and he chose not to and let his wrestling do the talking, and that's what got him his job, that's pretty cool. So I guess you go from best face, you go to best heel. Sure. I know for this one we definitely have an overlap, but you have an extra one.
Yeah, we have an overlap because I couldn't think of one and copied yours.
And then I thought of one. So I said Dean Ambrose. And Ambrose realistically could have been considered for technical as well.
Yep.
The only thing with technical for him is a lot of his is submissions, but that aren't actually submissions. Holding a guy down and grinding him. Rubbing his hand in his face or forearm in the face. Just beating the guy down, wearing a guy down.
70s heel stuff.
Yeah, but he's very good on the mic.
Yes.
And on top of that, he got himself in really good shape.
Yeah.
And that really has like the full package of being able to work, being able to talk, and being somebody who's in there and able to do whatever he's needed to do.
Yeah.
Which really puts him over. So I think he is probably one of the best heel of the year. And the fact that he's in a stable with a guy who's just as good of a worker as him.
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins.
Wait a minute.
No. And another guy another guy who the other two are carrying.
I thought you were gonna zig, then you zag.
And he was the leader of a group that was essentially involved in every major storyline this year, more or less.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, he was the clear choice.
Yeah, and he's been a great heel for a number of years. I think just hasn't got as much exposure because he mostly worked CZW. And then a few other things here.
He did a little bit of Ring of Honor, didn't he?
Not really.
I thought he did.
Never much. Like I would say no more than 2 matches in Ring of Honor. Maybe 0. I don't know if he ever worked it, but benefit of the doubt, he did a couple.
Jersey All Pro.
He might have done Jersey All Pro. It did some IW South and
That's
some.
unfortunate for him.
And some Dragon Gate USA before he got signed. And yeah, he's always just been an awesome scumbag heel.
Yeah.
And now he's
I don't think he can play anything but that.
It's going to be weird if and when he ever turns face, I'll say that.
I can't imagine he'd ever turn face.
He doesn't seem like a guy who wants to play face.
No. Yeah, I couldn't imagine he'd want to.
Yeah, he's pretty much always been a heel, and he's a great dick. And he has a great dick, I've heard.
And who's your secondary?
My other one was I wanted to put one positive thing for TNA in a category, so this is the best one.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
Why does your loyalty lay with TNA?
I don't know. It never has. I've really always hated them.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden you gotta say one good thing about them.
I think it's come to pity at this point. It's gone from hatred to pity.
You even said that about Dixie.
Yeah, I think sometime in 2011 or 2012, my dislike of TNA just went like, oh, God bless them.
They're trying. Not very hard, but they're trying.
But anyway, this isn't a pity pick. I think it's plenty deserving. Bully Ray as the other pick for best heel because his promos are great. He was world champ more than anyone else this year.
He's improved his wrestling.
Yeah, his wrestling's really good.
You get in shape, you get good apparently.
Yeah, from like sometime in 2012 on when he went like main event singles guy.
Yeah.
Great heel promos. Great. Actually, and also when he did like the fake face turn before Aces and Eights started.
Yeah.
No, before he joined Aces and Eights.
Yeah, before it turned out he was the leader.
Yeah, he was a killer face too. He was like this awesome fired up face. I remember him teaming with Sting against heels, maybe Aces and Eights actually. But
the crowd really got behind him.
But yeah, he was really good. So yeah, and I have always liked him, and he has always been an awesome promo guy. And now he got in better shape and had good matches too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give him that without feeling bad about it.
That's good. No. Good for him to make a career after his E-career was long over.
Yeah.
Not that they really used them properly at the end anyways.
Yeah. Also, one of the other weirdest predictions I heard on the Wrestling Observer one, they were going over last year's to see who got stuff right, and someone predicted last year, Willie Ray will win the world title in WWE. I'm like, oh, so close to not a terrible prediction. But by the time you finish the sentence, terrible prediction.
Yeah. I don't know why you would think that, but okay.
I really don't know. Should have if ended that sentence early and you would have been right.
Do you think that the two of them will ever be back in the E?
Dudley's?
Yeah.
No. I think Bubba deserves to be. Don't know if Devon is worth much anymore, but I don't think they'd have a lot for Bubba to do, and
not even as a tag team though, considering how much Trips wants to make tag teams.
Trips does like tag teams.
I guess it depends if he's burned any bridges there, right?
Yeah,
because
I don't know.
He seems like the kind of guy who would say some stuff.
Seems like he could say some shit,
and then
I don't know if he
has like him.
But I think they might think he's too old too.
Well, yeah, I guess it's true.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a lot of shelf life.
They do like their young guys now.
Yeah.
But they also do like the nostalgia factor. They do
they like bringing back Batista. So
well, considering next week they're doing Raw Goes Retro next week, and the New Age Outlaws might be wrestling. So
yeah, I think they are. So they're on the show at any rate.
Yeah, so
I assume they'll wrestle.
I don't know. I don't know if they ever will be, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some guys who I would never imagine would ever be back, both Hardy Boys, but I don't know. I can imagine at least at some point maybe being back for like a brief 6-month push and then
Yeah, that's not out of the question.
get out of the way.
Yeah, if TNA dies, it might be another story because then
Right.
he'll be more motivated to go there.
Okay, Scott, what did you put down for the worst feud of the year?
I wrote it down really quickly.
And now you can't read what it says.
I can read it.
Oh, okay.
I just thought it was a pretty easy choice for me anyway.
Okay.
The Miz versus Kofi Kingston.
Does that even count as a feud?
Okay, if that doesn't count as okay, I know there's been no story to
Yeah,
the feud.
yeah.
They've had 17,000 matches.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Miz has turned heel at the end of every match and is still not a heel. It's horrible.
And then Kofi forgives him.
And then they fight again. It's garbage. It is, I'm very pleased with this analogy because it works on every level. They are 2013's R-Truth and Morrison. Remember when they tagged and then feuded?
Yes.
And it was the worst thing?
Yes.
That's this. It's happening again.
Well, they do like to recycle things.
Why? Let's recycle a terrible thing that nobody cared about. That wasn't even a main event thing. Let's recycle a terrible mid-card thing.
Yeah. It worked the first time.
Did it?
No, it didn't. My word...
I've got more, but I'll go after yours.
Oh, you had more? You had two feuds?
I had 3.
Oh, well then continue.
All right. They're all WWE. 'Cause, there's probably some bad or worse TNA ones. I can't think of a lot of actual feuds they did.
Oh,
though.
I got one.
You got a TNA one? Okay,
Oh, I got
good.
one. My TNA feud
I'm glad we got it covered.
is horrible.
So, but just WWE is they're bad at writing. I think is their biggest weakness. So yeah, Miz Kofi was terrible, and then more in the main event scene. It pains me to say it, but Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan was booked so badly, and okay, yeah, I love Daniel Bryan and don't really like Randy Orton. I'd like to think I can look past that and look at it 100% objectively and say this was booked terribly, and I don't think a lot of people would disagree. I wasn't even super mad. I was kind of bummed when Bryan won the WWE title, the actual big title, clean from John Cena, and then lost it 2 minutes later. But I'm like, all right, fine. I see what they're doing. They had to they had to have him cash in sometime, and now you can have Daniel Bryan chase and then get the big win. Problem is, didn't get the big win, and they did about 4 straight fuck finishes on pay-per-view.
On pay-per-view.
And if I had paid for them, I'd have been real mad.
I would have been furious.
And just more simply, my third one was Cena Ryback because they had a few pay-per-view matches and they were bad.
Yeah, that's true. I see that.
I think the feud was kind of dumb, if I remember right.
You know what? Now that we've talked a little bit, and I've been thinking while you were talking,
Yeah.
I actually have a couple on top of the one that I already had.
Okay.
So, the first one that I thought of was the CM Punk and Paul Heyman feud. Not the feud, though, the payoff. Because you've got Paul Heyman managing the best wrestler in the world in the company. So when he turns, he's got a feud with somebody. The only problem was the two somebodies that were with Paul Heyman are both shitty wrestlers.
Well, he had Brock first.
But
that was good.
But Ryback and
I know what you mean, yeah.
Axel were the two that he
Yeah.
when he feuded with Heyman, had the cage matches and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and so
the Punk Heyman feud post
the
Brock.
payoff of the feud, the ending of it, sucked.
Yeah, was him beating Ryback.
It was him, like that. But that's not the worst one of the year. That's just one that was bad.
That's just the bad one.
Another one that was bad was, and I'm going back to TNA.
Okay.
Dixie Carter and AJ Styles.
Yeah, that's
the feud that they've had most recently.
That's reasonable.
That turned into real life because AJ's gone.
AJ's gone.
Horrible. Basically because of Dixie not being able to cut a promo, not being able to talk, and AJ trying his best to save it, but not working out.
And also AJ being booked really weird because pretty much all year he did the weird tweener thing, which didn't work at all.
But also too the way that they they pay off that.
They paid it off shitty.
Never happened.
Well, no, they did one good payoff and then negated it.
Yeah.
because he did like because it was the main event Mafia Aces and Eights like 8-man.
Yeah.
And main event Mafia needed another person because Angle was in rehab.
Yeah.
And it was like loser leaves.
Whoever gets
pinned
pinned
leaves.
was fired.
Right.
Yeah.
And then AJ came out with his loner music, and then his face music hit. He whipped off the hood and like fired up. Boom! AJ face, great. I don't know what all the loner shit was, but at least he's a face again. And then he was back to loner shit the next week.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah. Dumb booking.
No good.
That's not my number one though.
Nope. What is?
My number one. Okay, Scott. So
also TNA.
Kazushi Sakuraba, Yuji Nagata, Shibata, even Nakamura. They've all done MMA.
I don't know if this counts.
Well, but I'm saying, like, they've done some fighting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Sakuraba's a fighter, and there are some have done some mixed martial arts, right? Okay, yeah.
I'm going to allow this, but watch yourself, counselor.
Okay. Then you got, the other, you got Ken Shamrock. You've got
This is going where I think it's
Dan Severn. You've got, let's even consider Bob Sapp,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
They've gone the other way from mixed martial arts into professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when a certain wrestling promotion is on a television channel,
Oh, this isn't where I thought it was going.
and a certain mixed martial arts promotion is
Okay.
on said same channel?
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a sec. I'm totally back on board with what you're saying. I thought you were going to complain about the Gracies being on the Dome show.
No.
I'm like, that's not even 2013. And like, did they really have a feud?
No,
in
that's
2013?
not at
Okay,
all where I was
okay,
going.
That's
'Cause-
fine. Now I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
So, reiterate my point. Wrestling show on a television channel.
Yep.
There is also a mixed martial arts show on that same channel.
Yes, sir.
So, of course, much like Roller Jam was in the early 2000s, you got to have a little cross promotion here.
Of course.
So, my nomination for worst feud of the year, nay, of the decade. Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson in TNA.
Yeah, you know what that is?
That
That's
was-
a nice call is what that is.
And the best part about it was, not only was there no professional wrestling payoff,
Nope.
there was no MMA
They
payoff.
didn't even have the fight.
They didn't even fight each
Because
other.
Tito realized he was going to lose and then didn't fight.
And
Like he did against Chuck Liddell for 3 years. You
And
piece of shit, Tito.
the worst part of that, too, was the guy that they got to replace Tito,
Who did they get?
the Mexicutioner,
Oh.
almost beat Rampage. Rampage won it in the last 30 seconds of the fight.
Now, to steal from... Who is it? Is it Doug Benson?
It's Doug Benson.
Okay. Is it a Mexican that executes people? Or a person who executes
It's
Mexican
Mexicans.
people?
Man, that Mexicutioner should execute a lot of tacos. So, by far, that is the worst feud of the year.
Yeah, that's a nice call. I'm a little mad at myself for not thinking of
The
it.
payoff being a cage match involving Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy,
Yeah.
where Rampage came down and stopped the Aces and Eights from getting in the cage. While he was doing that, Tito ran up behind him.
Tito, theretofore a face,
A face, ran up behind him with a hammer
popped him.
and popped him in the back of the head with it. This is a guy...
Which was the most physical confrontation they ever
Yes.
had in wrestling or,
or
MMA.
MMA. And this is a guy who he is legitimately fist fighting
Yeah.
for real. And he's hitting him with a hammer.
Don't you remember that time that George St. Pierre hit Nick Diaz with a hammer?
I do. But here's the thing, too. Is, like I said, I said this to Dan, that Rampage Jackson is clearly not in it for the fighting. He's
Nope.
clearly in it for the money. He's the new Bob Sapp.
He should just do pro wrestling.
You give him as much
He
money
likes
as he
pro wrestling.
wants.
Rampage has won MMA fights with pro wrestling moves.
Very true. Full-on power bombs.
Do wrestling. You'd be good at it.
He would be, but he's not.
Tito don't.
Tito, stay away.
Yeah.
You couldn't even referee.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go from worst feud to let's go with the best feud.
Okay.
I'm sure that my pick would get a lot of negative attention from some people. I don't know how you feel about it.
The left wing.
The left wing. But
The tree huggers.
I at first was outspoken against it, but I did change my mind towards the end. I liked the Big Show versus the McMahon's feud. Because there was some very good promos. Obviously, there was a lot of Big Show crying.
Yep.
But the thing that I liked the most about it was it got Big Show super fucking over.
It did get him.
It got him, honestly, the most over he's ever been in his entire WWE career.
Oh yeah. When he punched Triple H, the place exploded.
When he popped him, and then when he helped Daniel Bryan win and was in the crowd starting the yes chant.
Yep.
That was the most over he's ever been. Of course, since that, he's gone back to doing nothing.
Yeah, well, I think because he main evented Survivor Series with Randy Orton, and then I think they saw the buy rate, and that was that.
Yeah.
Oh, that being said, while I feel bad for Big Show drawing that really bad buy rate, I am really glad that Survivor Series did draw a bad buy rate, because the previous 3 pay-per-views were main evented by Daniel Bryan, which also all had bad buy rates, and they were blaming Bryan. So that's why they did Big Show Orton, and then it did terrible too. So fuck you, it's not Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, it's Randy Orton.
It might be Randy Orton.
It's probably Randy Orton.
Oh, fun fact. This is a stat I heard probably 2 or 3 years ago. So discount anything from the past couple of years. But do you know who the only 2 people to measurably move pay-per-view buy rates were for like the previous 10 years? Like for like say 01 to 2011. The 2 people who like made a major difference in pay-per-view numbers.
Are you physically asking me or the
I'm asking you.
or the podcasting universe?
I'm asking you. Yeah.
Me physically. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Post Austin Rock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even after them. John Cena?
No.
Oh.
Triple H and Jeff Hardy.
Oh my god.
The only 2 people who moved pay-per-view numbers.
Scott, I don't want to record anymore.
Should we just turn it off?
I can't. I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
Jeff fucking Hardy.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was super over.
Yeah.
When he came back and had his title push, he was really
Although I was still, when I heard that, I was still surprised. I didn't know he was like that big to like draw pay-per-view numbers.
Ugh.
But apparently he was. And Cena not so much. They just did sort of steadily with Cena.
Wrestling?
Maybe if Cena wasn't there, they'd have done worse. But Cena was on everything and they never spiked with him.
Scott, I need to tell you this. Wrestling fans are fucking stupid.
They are fucking stupid.
They are really fucking stupid. But anyway, so to finish my point is, I hated some of the stuff. I mean, making him like they use the same points over and over again. I was really uncomfortable with them telling him that he was going to die soon.
That was weird.
That made me feel uncomfortable, but I did like the idea of them buying his house and that he owed them, like he didn't own owe the bank anymore, that he physically owed Triple H money.
Yeah. Although it was dumb that he was bankrupt in the first place.
I guess, yeah. But I mean, I think they were trying to play it up as like, you're a frivolous idiot with your money, Big Show.
Yeah.
You buy everything.
That mini mall he bought that failed.
Yeah, like that was okay. But yeah, some of the things they did were not very comfortable for me.
Yeah.
But overall,
You're gonna die soon.
well, yeah,
You're
gonna die soon was very because I mean, to be honest, it might be true. He probably won't die as soon as the Great Khali, but he's not going to be 70.
Probably not.
Probably might not even be 60. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I liked it in general, and it gave Big Show a needed push for a little while, which I mean, for a guy who's been with the company for as long as he has and has never really had a successful title run and never really had much of an important storyline. Even though his part of the storyline was kind of feeding into the Daniel Bryan storyline, it was still something that I guess his career kind of needed. So, but yeah, so that's my feud.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. In fact, I've got 2, and I do have 1 and 2 rankings for them. Second runner-up is not super specific, but produced 1,000 good matches this year. Shield versus Faces.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like so many good 6-mans.
Tag matches against the Rhodes.
Yeah, tags against the Rhodes. Like Daniel Bryan, Rhodes, Usos, Cena, Sheamus,
Punk.
Punk, whoever, just like big like main event singles guy in a tag team or like 3 main event singles guys, whoever, like it was always good. And yeah, they just produced too many good matches to not get a mention. Although if we're talking about good matches, feud of the year, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada had 4 matches this year, and you could make a case for all 4 of them being in the top 10 matches this year.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen unless you're Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. So I think you gotta, even though there wasn't like a lot of like storylines and angles to the feud other than who's better, and can Okada beat Tanahashi for the title, which he did, and then can Okada retain the title against Tanahashi? Can he beat him twice? So yeah, the story was entirely wrestling based, basically, which is cool sometimes, especially in New Japan where you can't understand the promos anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, and just the matches they produced were so good that I couldn't not give it to them.
Okay. Let's change this up to who was the best at cutting promos this year.
Oh, that was one thing I forgot to mention. I've got too many people to list, but when you're talking about Big Show's an awesome promo.
Yep.
He's one of the best speakers and actors.
And he's very entertaining.
Yeah.
He's super funny.
Yeah. He's really good. He is a really comfortable, good speaker. So I wanted to give him a nod for that.
Are you saying that you wrote down tons of promos?
I wrote down 3.
Oh, okay, that's fair. For me, mine was a tie between 2 people who were partially involved with each other for like a part of the year. And that would be CM Punk, because Punk is always good for a promo.
Yep.
No matter what.
Yep.
And Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman, again,
Fuck, yeah.
always good for a promo. So and the thing, too, is Punk doesn't need a mouthpiece, but Heyman and him together
We're awesome.
Worked so well.
Yeah.
Like feeding off of each other and both saying things and their interactions with one another,
Yeah.
whether they were together or when they were feuding,
Yeah.
perfect. It was promo gold.
Yeah, when they put them together, when it looked like they were going to put them together, and some people said, well, why would they put them together? Punk's already a great talker.
I said that too.
He doesn't need Heyman at all. I said, you're right, but what if you did put the best 2 talkers together? Wouldn't it just be kind of awesome?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, you can put... Sometimes guys don't need mouthpieces, like the 4 Horsemen in the day didn't need J.J. Dillon.
Not at all.
But
they had fucking Ric Flair.
They had fucking Ric Flair.
But they had him anyway.
But they had J.J. Dillon anyways.
That's
and
great.
J.J. was really good at cutting promos.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it works. Sometimes you can have more than one guy in a stable or a team that talks.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
I mean, sure, you got the, like, Legion of Doom. Both of them could both talk. You had the Mega Powers. Both of them can talk, right?
Yeah.
You've always got guys who can... Just because one guy can talk doesn't mean you don't need a second guy who can talk.
Exactly.
Right? But yeah, I thought Heyman and Punk had some great promos this year, both together, separate, about each other.
Yep.
Everything. All good. It's a shame that now that Heyman's back with Lesnar, or Lesnar's back, that they don't just keep the mic with Heyman and they actually let Lesnar talk, because Lesnar can't fucking talk.
Yeah.
One promo,
Not so
and
much.
he's already botched it.
Yeah.
So who do you have as your... Because you have 3, so?
I do have 3. I think Paul Heyman might be better than all 3. Because I didn't think of him. But, yeah. If I sat down and made a top 10, and remembered everyone, I think Heyman might be number 1. But the ones I thought of are all still really good. And if I could find them on my paper here. There we go. I guess it's a 1, 2, 3. You could mix them up depending on your mood or the time of day. But 3 I had Bray Wyatt, because he of the 3 I have, he's definitely the most character-y one. But goddamn, does he have that fucking character nailed.
Lots of practice.
Yeah, and he's really confident. He's interesting, which is an important thing. Even though it's always kind of the same message, he's always pretty interesting with it, which is tough to do sometimes. And yeah, I don't know if anyone could do that much better than he's doing it now. My number 2, I'm pretty sure you don't like his wrestling, even though you're wrong. I don't know what your feelings on his promos are, or if you've seen a lot of his promos.
We're talking about David Richards.
I'm talking about Eddie Kingston. David Richards is a terrible talker.
When he said you don't like his wrestling, I'm like, oh, immediately Dave Richards.
Did we just take your favorite match of 2011?
2011. It's 2014. Give us a fucking program.
Things have changed.
You are correct. I do not like Eddie Kingston, but okay. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with his promos. So.
His
because
promos,
I hate his wrestling.
His promos are great. He's super real, super intense, and super believable. And I was just what was I doing? Oh, I was taping some Chikara for someone and came across like 2 or 3 just because they often just do pre-match backstage promos for a lot of their matches and just ended up watching a couple Eddie Kingston's and goddamn it's the realness with him. Like you believe everything he's saying because A, he believes everything he's saying, and B, it's all true. He's just talking about himself just in a wrestling context, but he's really intense. He keeps your attention, and I think a lot of people who want to cut good promos should pay attention to Eddie Kingston. And number 1 I had, even though I think Paul Heyman is better than all 3 I had, Kevin Steen, because he is delightful. I love everything Kevin Steen does.
Yeah, Kevin Steen also very good.
He can be a funny face. He can be a dick heel.
Yeah.
He's actually one of the most versatile, probably even more so than the other 2 I mentioned. Maybe even more than Paul Heyman. I don't know how much of a face Paul Heyman can be.
I don't think Paul Heyman can be much of a face.
As a personality, like he can come out on One Night Stand and cut a face.
Yeah.
As the owner of ECW.
Yeah.
But as a character on TV, I don't think he can really be much of a face.
For all those years of being what he is, I can't see a lot of guys being able to transition from being a full-time heel to being a face.
Exactly, yeah. And like Bray Wyatt, I don't know if he could be that great as a face talking wise. Kingston has been face and heel. His heel promos are good. I don't think they're as good as his face promos. Steen 100% versatile either way.
Yeah.
So that's why I had him.
He's a top or a bottom.
Absolutely, he's a switch.
So who do you think had the worst fall from grace?
Dolph Ziggler.
This year, that is a good choice.
Poor guy. He works his fucking ass off.
Oh, can we agree he's the best bumper in the company still?
Probably, yeah.
Like
he's basically a modern day Kurt Hennig bump wise.
Well, between him and Seth Rollins, they're both really good bumpers, but he's still a great bumper.
Yeah.
He's a decent promo. He's got great energy.
He's a fine promo. He's a good wrestler. He's a great bumper.
He just pisses off people.
Super hard worker. Just pisses people off and
just makes enemies of people he shouldn't make enemies of.
He doesn't play the game.
Nope, he does not.
He's got an indie mentality basically.
Yeah.
And I almost want to at this point we just want to see him get it released and work indies.
Yeah.
Because it'd be more interesting. Because the dude was world champion 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And
now he's doing the job to Ryback on TV.
They think he just jobbed to Fandango?
He did just job to Fandango. Yeah, for number 1 contenders for Big E's title.
Yeah, for number 1 contendership to the Intercontinental title.
Yep.
So yeah. Dolph Ziggler.
That's unfortunate for him.
Sorry, buddy. I like you, but it's not going well.
For me, it would be... I mean, this guy at some point in my life would have been my favorite wrestler, and he's probably one of the greatest wrestlers of the last 15 years. But unfortunately for him, he's fallen on some tough times. He looks like a 60-year-old cross-dresser, and that would be Kurt Angle. Because unfortunately, Kurt got himself into a little bit of rehab this year.
Yeah, it's not been going great this year. I'll I'll say that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, haven't been in a lot of because usually in most years you can point out at least a handful of like high-end Kurt Angle matches.
Yeah, absolutely. Kurt was always the guy that you could say that like Kurt could wrestle a paper bag to a 5-star match.
Yeah.
That Kurt had amazing matches, like every year at WrestleMania he had a good match.
Yep.
You know, any title matches he had, he was always good. Even when he went to TNA, he was having good matches with everybody he was against. And then over the last year, he's just he's lost weight. He's
been to rehab.
Looks like he's aged 10 years.
Yeah, he's looking pretty old.
He's not doing very well for himself, and I can't imagine that he'll be wrestling much anymore. It's looking pretty slim for him.
he's looking pretty slim.
He is looking pretty slim.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call. And yeah, I don't know if Kurt has a lot left in the tank.
No, that's the thing too, is he used up most of his stuff in his first, like, 6 years.
Yeah,
I
killed
mean,
himself.
he really went through it all in the first 6 years. I mean, he seemed like he was the guy that was doing every show, every big match,
Yeah.
every feud.
Busting his
He
ass.
never really seemed like he was injured other than his neck.
Besides the neck
Right?
thing,
Like,
yeah.
he never seemed like anything else, and he's a beat down, and he's worn out, and it's unfortunate because he
Yeah.
used to be one of my favorite wrestlers, and I loved every Kurt Angle match. I mean, him versus Chris Benoit at Royal Rumble is one of my favorite matches
That match
in the history of wrestling.
fucking rules.
Like, incredible. And his matches with Michaels at Mania
Yep.
are amazing.
Yeah, that's a real good one.
But, I mean, it's unfortunate.
Despite Michael's best efforts to kill the ankle lock, you dick.
Sean does that with everything, though, because Sean's kind of a fucking piece of shit.
Yep, let us not forget that Sean is kind of a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. Who would you say is most overrated wrestler?
I had two. The way I did both overrated and underrated is basically their wrestling skill relative to their push.
Okay.
So overrated, I did Ryback and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is an interesting one because he's pretty serviceable, and he's been in like 10 4-star plus matches this year, none of which are due to anything he did.
No.
His purpose in all those matches was to work very little of the match, come in at the end and hit a sweet spear.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it. So
And do a 3-man powerbomb.
yes, to WWE's booking credit, they're booking him beautifully, and there's no reason to think he's not a good wrestler. Unless you've seen him in the singles, where you find out he's not that good.
Which you'll find out on Monday, because he's in a singles match with CM Punk.
Yeah, which you'll find out on Monday. And the thing is, they're clearly, of the people in the Shield, WWE is clearly the most high on him, and he's going to get like the big face push when the Shield splits up, and I don't know how good it's going to go.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing, though, is he's big. And that's kind of
He's
what they
big.
like. He's tall, he's muscular.
Yeah.
He's got like he's got a different look to him.
yeah,
Although his look is long hair, goatee, rock.
yeah, exactly.
But
he's not a real good promo.
not necessarily.
If he had a mouthpiece, I guess it'd be okay.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. They like him a lot more than he is good.
Yeah.
And the other one is Ryback, who was in a couple of world title pay-per-view matches this year, and is a bad wrestler.
Yeah. But he's doing the best with what he's got.
and
Which is big fists and large wrists.
I think big wrists,
Big wrists, hard fists? Okay, yeah.
Big guy, big traps.
Yeah.
Big neck, big checks.
Yeah. For me, most overrated is the...
Did you use the same criteria as me, or different?
I just went with a guy, well, I guess kind of. I went with the newest TNA Impact Wrestling champion.
Oh, yeah.
Magnus.
Good call.
Who, like, 5 years ago wasn't even a wrestler.
Yeah.
And now he's a heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do not see anything special about him at all.
I've liked one match of his ever. Like I haven't hated. He's had some average stuff. He's had 1,000 to 2.5 star matches.
Yeah.
I really liked the match he and Joe had at. It was a big TNA pay-per-view. It was a Destination X or a Bound for Glory, and it was very good. And that was it. That's the only thing.
But was that mostly because of Joe?
Almost 100% because of Joe.
Yeah.
But Magnus was there and in a singles match and had a good match.
I mean, I honestly feel like you could throw Magnus's name in with Gunner, James Storm,
I think James Storm's considerably better than
Matt
Magnus.
Morgan.
Yeah.
You know, like he's just
I think Gunner is a great comparison.
But
I think
Crimson.
Yeah, I think Magnus and Gunner are interchangeable.
Yeah, I mean, like he's just a guy.
He's a guy,
right? I mean, he's he's in good shape. He's got like a look to him, I guess.
Yeah,
but he's nothing.
Whatever.
There's nothing special about him, right? Yeah. I mean, he was part of a tag team where he was the second best wrestler.
Yep.
Right?
He was second of 2.
I mean, like, that's the thing, is there's nothing special about him.
Yeah.
He's not entertaining. He's not a great promo. There's like absolutely nothing spectacular about him.
Yeah.
Just so happens that TNA is all about pushing new people because they can't keep all their old people. So yeah, I just find him to be very mediocre at best.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I didn't think of him, but he's definitely a good pick.
So from overrated to underrated, the most underrated wrestler for me, 100% without a doubt, is Carl Anderson.
Nice pick.
Carl does nothing bad. He can have great matches with anybody, whether it's a tag or a singles or a multi-man. Even when he's put in there with bad wrestlers.
Yep.
I mean, he's had really good matches with Okada. He had like some of the tag Grand Prix matches where he's carrying the team.
Him and Tanahashi from February is like I'd say a top 10 match of the year.
So I think Carl Anderson is a very underrated performer,
and I
would love to see him.
Such a great promo in a different way.
Oh my God, he's so good.
Maybe the best yelling promo.
Best yelling promo, like best silly promo.
Yeah.
Like all their promos. Every Bullet Club promo is the silliest promo.
Completely silly.
Because they just yell and do silly things.
They don't give a shit.
No, because
it's great.
Because they realize the Japanese people don't understand what they're saying.
Their mentality is 1 in 10 people, at best 1 in 10 people listening to this understands it. We're going to fuck around.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would love to see...
By the way, correct mentality. That's how everyone should do it.
That's how, if you're in a country where they don't understand you,
fuck around.
You do whatever you want.
Yes.
You get as stupid and as mean as you want.
Yes.
Especially yelling at like the crowd doesn't understand him because they're all stupid.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Carl get like an actual singles push. Yep. I mean, I know he's gotten pushes before, but he's always sort of been like, he's teamed with Bernard, and then he's part of Bullet Club, and now he's teaming with Gallows at the Dome Show.
And like whenever he gets the world title match, he's losing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like there's no way they're gonna have him beat Okada and then go into the Dome Show and defend it against Naito, right? Yeah. Like they're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and same thing like and earlier in the year, he's not gonna beat Tanahashi the month after the Dome.
Exactly.
But yeah, it'd be nice to get him into a position where it's a question if he will win the title. Mm. Like he gets
like a real push.
Yeah, big singles push.
Not just come out at the end of the show, jump the guy, have the match next month, and then back to it like an 8-man tag with Bullet Club.
Yeah, big singles push and like, oh, is he gonna win the title at this pay-per-view? Like, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
My most underrated is a guy who potentially could, and I would very much like to see have a match with Carl Anderson because they're in the same Fed. Tomohiro Ishii. For his position in the Fed to how good he is, I think he's definitely the most underrated. I don't know what New Japan's exact feelings on him are because I know for a while, and this was almost 10 years ago when Riki Choshu started World Japan Pro Wrestling that ran for a year or two in like 2003 to 2005. He took some guys from New Japan, one of whom was Tomohiro Ishii, and Choshu wanted to use Ishii as like the ace of World Japan. Then World Japan failed. Ishii came back to New Japan and was basically punished for years. And a combination of that and then maybe not thinking he has like the right look or anything because he's quite short, he's stocky, he has like unconventional gear. Which you have now,
which I now have
now purchased.
It's an interesting look.
Absolutely,
It's
cool. I'm all for different. I don't want everyone looking the same. But and the thing is, I don't know if they're still punishing him for World Japan because he's been back in New Japan for like 7 or 8 years, and that's a long punishment for like not that big a thing. Yeah. So I don't know if that's still the case, but he's largely booked as a mid-carder, but then every now and then, but they didn't book him as a mid-carder like in the G1. So I don't know really where they stand on him, but I would like for them to stand higher with him more consistently because this dude had arguably 2 5-star matches in 3 days. Tanahashi on August 2nd, and Shibata on August 4th. Days 2 and 4 of the G1. 2 of the like, bar none, best matches of the year. One got 5 stars and one got 4 3/4 from Meltzer. I would maybe give both 5 myself. So, and then I think he won. I don't know if it was company voted or fan voted, but he won like MVP of the G1. And then they didn't do that much with him after, although I think he was kind of hurt. Oh no, he went to Mexico for a bit, so they couldn't do anything with him. And then I think he is kind of hurt now because he's not on the Dome show at all. And I think even if they weren't doing much with him, they'd put him in
like a random 8-man,
an 8 or 10 man, and he's not in it. So I think he is sort of hurt, even though he worked the last tour. But I don't think he did much on it. So yeah, do something with him, guys, because he's amazing.
So we went from overrated to underrated. Now we are going to go to who was the worst wrestler of the year. Lots of options. There's lots of shitty wrestlers.
There's a lot of options.
I will go with mine. Mine is somebody who, for a while, I did enjoy when he was in WWE. And he went to TNA. He is completely fucking human trash. Mr. Anderson. He's
bad.
A horrible title match against Bully Ray.
Yeah.
He had horrible matches when he was part of Aces and Eights. He cannot cut a promo anymore. He looks terrible.
He does look terrible.
He
has given up.
He has completely stopped working out.
Oh, yeah.
He has completely stopped shaving.
Stopped coloring his hair.
He doesn't wear gear.
Nope.
Like, he does not give a shit.
No. What's funny, though, is between promos and matches, this is probably his second best year in TNA.
Yes.
His best was probably the lengthy feud with Angle.
Yeah.
Just because he got some decent matches out of him. That being said, it was a stupid angle, if I remember, because like they did the payoff, and like Angle got the big face win in the middle of the feud.
Yep.
If I recall.
Yep.
So that was bad, but yeah, every other year Anderson has just had garbage matches and garbage promos.
And he's just been like a mid-carder for the most part.
Yeah.
But then this year
he got... was one of his matches with Bully good, or were they all
No,
bad?
they were all bad.
Okay.
And the reason why, too, though, is because, like we said before, when TNA couldn't keep employing their important wrestlers, when they broke up Aces and Eights, the original idea was to take Doc Gallows and push him as a big singles babyface,
Yes.
and get the payoff title match against Bully Ray.
However,
unfortunately, they couldn't afford to keep him, so they had to let him go.
The cost-prohibitive Doc Gallows.
Yes, former WWE Festus was too expensive for them.
Yes.
So they had to let him go, and then they had like, well, okay, who do we choose? Mike Knox is horrible. Wes Briscoe is Wes Briscoe. Garrett Bischoff isn't even really a wrestler. Well, looks like it's Ken Anderson.
Yes, you're up, Anderson. Yeah, that's rough. I think my guy's a worse wrestler than yours.
Is it Ryback?
No, that's a toss-up. Anderson's probably a better wrestler than Ryback, too. But all of the people we mentioned can move. And and mine can. It's the Great Khali, and he's going to die in the ring in 2014.
Is that a bold prediction?
That's a bold prediction.
All right, prediction. Great Khali dead 2014.
In the ring.
In the ring.
His... dead or critically injured in the ring. Because he's going to throw a punch and fall down, and both of his legs will shatter, or something like that. Because he can't move. And it's dangerous that he's in the ring.
It is.
And what's funny is it used to be dangerous for the other people, because he killed one of them.
Because he murdered a man.
And when he was
to be fair, not his fault.
Not his fault, but he did kill someone. Or someone died at his hands.
Someone died at his hands.
I don't think it's real dangerous to be in the ring with him anymore, because he can't really lift anyone anymore. So you just kind of fuck around for a while and then usually pin him because he's a jobber now.
Yeah.
Former world champion.
Former world champion, 7'2".
Yeah. One of the biggest wrestlers ever. Just straight up doing jobs. But yeah.
Singing and dancing.
He's going to hurt himself. He's not, I don't think he's in that much danger of hurting anyone else anymore. But he's going to get badly hurt just from walking around. Because he's
oh, yeah, yeah. And
he's immobile.
The thing with him, too, is the story is that He's very well liked in the locker room.
Yes.
Everybody thinks he's a gentle giant, and he's very nice. But
he's a huge draw in India.
yeah, when they go to India.
No, but I guess they get some kind of TV revenue from it, and India's got 1 billion people.
I guess that's true.
There's some money there.
But the feeling is that the E keeps him around and gives him television time, and they give him money because they realize
he has limited shelf life.
That he's not going to live that long, and they kind of want him to be happy and have as much as... So as much as the wrestling industry is kind of a shitbag piece of shit, that, sometimes there are good stories, like giving crippled Indian giants money to be happy.
Exactly.
So, and I'm sure that he probably gets a decent amount of poon. I mean, he can't be that big and have a tiny wiener.
Punjabs, you mean?
Punjab poon.
Okay.
Punjab punani. But I'm sure he does fine with himself.
Yeah.
Okay, to keep things rolling here, who do you say is the tag team of the year?
I have a distant second and a first.
Distant second.
Well, because first is so far
ahead of the rest.
Everyone. That it can only be a distant second. But I don't know. I might be forgetting. There might be someone who would pass these guys for second. But
The Killer Bees.
The first ones I thought of. First ones I thought of for second. After I immediately thought of first. I forgot. I have 2 good things for TNA. Bad Influence.
Okay.
They're fucking delightful.
Yeah.
Chris Daniels is the most. I don't know if he's the best wrestler he's ever been. He hasn't really deteriorated though, even though he's over 40. And he's absolutely cutting the best promos of his life.
He's the best entertainer of his life.
Yes, 100%. And the reason he is the same thing that Chris Jericho did later in his career, and all kind of good, cool wrestlers do. Usually, unfortunately, later in the career, because you can do it earlier. Age doesn't matter. It's just it seems to happen with age. You stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
If you stop caring and fuck around, and you're like decent at stuff, it's awesome.
Yep.
Because when you're having fun, people watching you have fun, and it's amazing how long it takes people to get that. I think people are just too wrapped up in things. Too focused on, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta cut this promo like this, and then I gotta
get myself over.
I gotta get over. I'm worried about my position in the company and blah blah. Just stop giving a shit. And if you're good, or in these guys' case, these guys are both all-time great wrestlers actually. Daniels and Jericho.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Daniels and Jericho.
Nobody should say that about Frankie Kazarian.
No, Kazarian's okay. Kazarian's okay. But no, I was talking more about Daniels. I think Kazarian's to a degree along for the ride, but it's a really good ride.
Yeah.
So, and they've had some very good matches. I think they had a couple better matches than 2012, actually. They had that really good match with Angle and Styles back when Angle could have good matches.
Yep.
A mere year ago. But yeah, they still had some good stuff this year, and they're just so goddamn entertaining. But number 1, with a bullet, Young Bucks.
Because they won the junior titles?
I guess.
And because they had great matches in PWG?
Because like every match they have is the best match. I've enjoyed... if I was actually to do top tag matches of the year, Bucks would be in more than half of them. Probably.
Was their match... The match this year where they... the referee pushed them off the ladder in PWG to the floor?
Last year.
That was last year? Damn, that match was great.
I would have said them last year as well.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple years before that. They've been real good for several years now. Yeah, that was PWG's anniversary, July of last year. But they, the ones I saw them live this year, they had 3 matches at DDT in January. They had Steen and Generico and 2 others. All of which are really good, especially Steen. The opener was great. Bucks versus Ricochet and Rich Swann was awesome.
Flippy black guys versus brothers.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy.
Brothers versus brothers.
Brothers versus brothers. And yeah, everyone's like, how is everyone else going to follow this match? And I don't know if anyone did, because that might have been the best match on the show. And then they had a great match in March that I also saw live that I did not expect to be as good as it was against Chuck Taylor and Johnny Gargano. I've always been kind of lukewarm on Johnny Gargano, but that match was sweet. And then the other day was and the other day was great too against Dojo Bros, Eddie Edwards and Roderick Strong. And then probably their best match this year I've seen was against in June in PWG against Samurai Del Sol and Era Fox, which was just goddamn bananas. But yeah, I'd say they're easily the best team going right now. But you might have other thoughts.
I do have other thoughts, but that's only because I'm not as up on the indies as you.
Yeah, and you haven't watched as much PWG.
I've not watched as much PWG. I do not really watch a lot of the other indie feds and such. I do know who the Bucks are. I do like the Bucks.
That's good.
The Bucks are good. For me, the tag team of the year is Cody Rhodes and Goldust.
Yeah.
Not only
nothing wrong with
because
that.
Goldust wasn't around last year and now he's tag team champions.
And he's awesome.
They had amazing matches with the Shield.
Yep.
Their match at Battleground
Yes.
was awesome.
Yeah, it's a match of the year candidate.
Match of the year candidate for sure.
Yeah.
They've had good matches with the Real Americans.
Yep.
They've had good matches against the Usos.
Yep.
They have had lots of six-man tags that involve them teaming with Daniel Bryan, Punk, Cena, all against the Shield. I mean, they had...
Yeah, there was a really good... I get... Cena was definitely involved. I guess it was Cena and the Rhodeses against the Shield. I think on a SmackDown. And it was great.
Yeah, they've done nothing wrong this year, so... Yeah. And, I mean, Cody's elevated his game. Goldust, obviously, like we said, is one of the best workers in the company.
Yeah, Goldust has definitely made Cody better.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Cody was never bad.
No, but
Cody was never, like, a standout.
No, this
right?
is easily the most they've ever cared about Cody.
Yeah, and the weird part, too, is, like, they took something that was, like, a serious problem in their family...
Yeah.
And, like, changed it around. Because the two of them... were like kind of estranged.
Yeah, they weren't really talking.
Had like a really weird relationship.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're like working together every day and they've really mended that.
Yeah, it's pretty
sweet.
sweet.
Another good thing that wrestling's done.
Amazing. Every now and then you get one.
But yeah, so they're definitely my my tag team of the year.
Yeah.
Now we've kind of gotten to the biggest ones, which we've saved. Before we get to like the big awards, let's do the who to watch in 2014.
Sure.
For me, the ones to watch in 2014 are, I've got Adrian Neville.
Yep.
I feel like if they call him up and they give him a good chance, and they let him do what he needs to do, there's lots of guys in the roster for him to have really good, really entertaining matches with.
Yeah.
He's got, he's in good shape. He's got good energy. I think the crowd has always been behind guys who have high-flying moves, high-flying finishers.
Yeah, I think he can be a way more successful Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne.
Evan Bourne?
Yeah.
Yeah, or like...
Also, he doesn't smoke weed.
Or like
so
a relevant Justin Gabriel.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and he's way better than Justin Gabriel. Matt Sydal was good. He's better. He's probably better than Matt Sydal. Well, certainly now at least. But even at Sydal's best, they're pretty close.
Yeah. The other one has an asterisk next to it. That would be Naito.
Yep.
Because for me, it all depends on what Naito does tonight.
He might win the world title in a few hours.
The thing is,
and he might not.
But here's the thing: it doesn't. I don't think it matters if he wins or loses. Uh-huh. It more depends on how the crowd reacts to him in this match because he hasn't really been a main eventer yet. They were pushing him and he got hurt, and he came back and they gave him the push again.
Yeah.
So it really depends on if the crowd gets behind him as a potential world champion.
Yeah.
And then if he wins the title and they don't get behind him, I can see them taking the title off him in a couple months.
Yeah.
If he wins the title and the crowd gets behind him, then I can see him holding the title for the majority of the year.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how he handles himself, how the crowd reacts to him. If he starts to feel the pressure and botch a bunch. I mean, he is against Okada, and Okada is pretty technically sound.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the asterisk next to his name.
What he's got going for him is he and Okada work great together. So
there you go.
I think that's going to help.
And then the third one on the list I thought of was the NXT Women's Champion, Paige.
Yeah, good call.
She's in a very, very small class of girl or women who are attractive but are really good wrestlers.
Yeah.
Because there are not a lot of good women's wrestlers.
No, and she's actually probably the best on the roster.
Yeah.
Not not NXT.
She's better than AJ.
Yeah.
She's better than Natty.
Yeah.
The rest of them are not wrestlers, so it doesn't matter.
So she wins.
I mean, she's better than some of the good women wrestlers they've had in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, Trish wasn't a great wrestler. Lita wasn't a great wrestler. No. Even somebody like Gail Kim's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
She's not a great wrestler. But yeah, I think she's the best wrestler they have. She's got good potential. She's young. She's cute.
Yeah,
she can kind of cut a promo.
Yeah, she's going to be a huge female star.
Yeah. Total babe.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got nothing but upside, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you got?
I got 5.
Wow.
Again, criteria was where... Because when I first hear who to watch in 2014... I initially think like almost rookie types who are gonna, kind of flourish this year. But save one newer guy, all have been around a while, and it's more that I think they'll be in a higher position or in 2 cases world champion this year as opposed to never before. Yeah, so, and I got a mix sort of across the board of where everyone's from. I got 2 New Japan, 2 WWE, and 1 Indie. New Japan, I got Katsuyori Shibata, who is already pretty high on the card. He was in this, the sort of semifinals of the G1. At least, like, the winner of his match would have gone to the finals. And so, even that being said, he hasn't had a world title. He hasn't had a world title match, let alone been the champion. And I think unless he pisses someone off or something changes, I would be amazed if he didn't have an IWGP world title match this year. And I think if they're confident in him and don't, although apparently they don't like him that much personality-wise, and also he's still, in a way, he's being punished because he left. But I don't know how far that'll go. But I think he'll definitely be in a world title match, and you never know, he could win. And then by the same token is the guy he's wrestling in a few hours, Hiroki Goto, who is just back from injury after 4+ months, almost 5.
It was G1, right? It was like day 4 or 5?
5 or 6,
5 or 6?
Where he broke his jaw, which sucks. I guess it was Tanahashi, right? Off a frog splash or something? Yeah. That was rough. Goto probably should have won the title in 2007 or 8. He still hasn't at all, which I think is crazy. And I think if he doesn't win it in 2014, he's not going to. But I think he will win it in 2014. And I think either he or Shibata is going to win the G1. So maybe one of them wins it on January 4th, 2015. WWE, one I mentioned before. I don't think the Wyatt family is going to be together for another 12 months. And I think by this time next year, Luke Harper is going to have a good singles push. And by the same token, I don't think the Real Americans are going to be a tag team by this time next year. And if they know what's good for them, they'll give goddamn Antonio Cesaro the world title. I don't know if
he'll win the world title, but
just give him a singles push.
He'll probably get a decent singles push.
Just let him wrestle main event guys. Let him wrestle Daniel Bryan. Let him wrestle Punk. Orton even. You can have a good match with Orton.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is I think he could have a good match with almost.
That's the thing. Anyone, as per a previous award.
Fucking Brodus Clay.
Anyway. And my 5th indie guy. There's a plethora of flippy black dudes out there for whatever reason. It seems to be the latest thing to be. So if you want to make it big in the indies, you should become a flippy black dude. Listen up, fat white guys. But of them, and I'm not counting Ricochet because he's pretty much already made it, but of the slightly younger guys, your AR Foxes, Rich Swans, etc., I think the guy who's going to do the best is ACH, who's just started getting booked in PWG the past 6 months. Super over. I think he's one of the better promos of that group of dudes. He's in a successful tag team in ROH. They could win the tag titles this year. He might end up getting a singles push in ROH. So as far as indie success, I think he's going to do well for himself. And I think the only thing he has going against him is that he's friends with Davey Vega.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a tough problem.
Yeah, but you can't bat 1,000.
No, but Dave Vega's case can't bat like 500. So.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers a lot of the smaller ones. The next two, I think, are pretty obvious answers. What would you say is the Fed of the year?
New Japan.
New Japan.
Second place, PWG.
New Japan has been running amazing shows all year.
Yeah, they pretty much starting early 2012 until now, and hopefully for a long time to come.
Yep.
Unstoppable.
Yep.
I do want to give a shout to PWG. They only run once or slightly less than once a month, but like literally every show they've had for the past 3 years is worth watching, and they're easily the best indie out there. So watch PWG.
And world champion of the year is Kazuchika Okada. Okada held it the whole year, like pretty much.
April.
Yeah. And he had great matches with Tanahashi this year.
Tanahashi, Devitt, Makabe, Suzuki, Anderson. Put him against a guy in a world title match, and he has a good one.
Exactly.
He hasn't had a bad world title match.
Yeah. So now I guess these are kind of the big three.
Yep.
What would you say is show of the year is the smaller of the three?
Yeah.
For me, I put New Japan's King of Pro Wrestling.
That's the October show.
That's the October show that we watched in Tennessee.
Yep, which was a fun time.
We
watched it in two parts.
The top 5 matches or top 6 matches that were all 4.5 plus.
I will tell you, I think it was 5. Are we October 14th, 2013. There we go. The top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could make a case for 6.
Okay.
Were all 4-star plus. The questionable one, although I think it is pretty good. It had a good finishing stretch. With the 6-man, the Bullet Club versus Devitt Anderson, Fale against Makabe, Honma, Ibushi. Mm-hmm. It was good. It's high 3s, maybe 4 if you're generous, but like legit the last 5 all 4-star plus, and 2 of them close to 5 stars.
Close to 5, yes.
3 of them close to 5. Shibata Ishii.
Yeah.
Close. 4.5 probably. Nagata Sakuraba, good, probably 4.
Yeah.
Naito Yujiro, one of Naito's best matches back besides the Tanahashi win.
Yeah.
Nakamura Marufuji, awesome.
Marufuji needs to do more stuff in New Japan so I can see it.
So you can see it, because they ain't showing any Noah pay-per-views, because there aren't any Noah pay-per-views. And
then the main event.
Okada, Tanahashi, which may come up in just a minute.
It might.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. But yeah.
So mine was definitely King of Pro Wrestling.
Yep.
This year's also King of Pro Wrestling.
That was my number 1. My number 2 was last year's Dome Show. The key matches of which were, yet again, Tanahashi Okada, seems to be a trend. Nakamura Sakuraba, amazing. Which some people say was even better than the main event. Depending on my mood, I might agree. One of the top 3 three-ways I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. For the junior title, Devitt, Loki, Ibushi, the other 3-way contenders being WrestleMania 20 and the first ROH show. Can't think of any of the 3-ways that touch it even. And anything else major?
I also had Suzuki and Nagata.
Suzuki Nagata.
Yeah,
yep.
Suzuki Nagata.
Also great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 2, and I wanted to give honorable mention to 2 actual good WWE pay-per-views. SummerSlam, which had 2 4.5-star matches. Bryan Cena and Punk Lesnar. And Money in the Bank, which had 2 very good Money in the Bank matches, and an awesome fucking free-for-all, or whatever they're calling it now, Usos versus Shield. It was great.
Yeah, it was really good. And then we can go with Wrestler of the Year. Is that next one maybe, or
sure.
Match?
I'm always a match guy.
Match is top?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's me.
Wrestler of the Year, for me, You already said he was best champion of the year. I say Okada. Great matches all year.
Yep.
I got nothing bad to say about him.
Yep.
So I say he had a very good year. This might be the end of his very good year, but
but also might not.
Might be the start of another good year.
Yeah.
But
well, he's still gonna have a good year. It's
I
just
guess,
whether or not he'll be champion.
That's true. But anyways, yeah, I say Okada.
Yeah, which is crazy because before 2012, he was nothing.
Yeah.
He'd been wrestling for a while.
He was a TNA jobber.
He was a TNA jobber. He debuted in Toryumon X, one of the later Toryumon classes. I don't think hardly ever worked in Toryumon Japan or as it became Dragon Gate. Did some Toryumon Mexico shit. Then was like a young boy in New Japan.
Did a bunch of like Dome Show early matches.
Yeah, did like Dome Show openers.
Like multi-mans.
Yeah, never did much. Never looked amazing. He was in one good, because during like the New Japan Noah feud in like 2009, they did like main eventer and younger guy versus main eventer and younger guy. It was Nakamura and then like young boy Okada against Sugiura and I think and Inoue Jr. or something, maybe Aoki, and that was like the first sign. Like Okada obviously didn't have the gimmick he has now and didn't show as much personality, but you could see, oh, he's pretty good actually. And then nothing for a couple years. Went to TNA, wasted a year of his life. Was on TV like 4 times.
Yeah.
Then came back, had a not very great comeback match at the 2012 Dome with Yoshihashi, and then won the world title the next month. And everyone's like, like, good for you taking a gamble. Well, this is quite a gamble. And then the next month had a match of the year candidate with Naito, and didn't look back. So pretty quick rise to stardom. Not from his debut, but from being nothing to being everything real quick.
Yep.
Which is crazy. He's absolutely high on my list too. I didn't put him there because I already had him as best champ, so I wanted to spread the love. So I think my number 1 would go to his best opponent this year, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Pretty much for all the same reasons you said about Okada. Real tough for him to have a bad match. Had a chunk of amazing matches. I think if you average them out, Tanahashi would come out slightly higher on the highest end matches of the year because obviously he and Okada had a bunch against each other, but then Tanahashi also had the Ishii match and the
Naito match
and the Naito match and the Anderson match.
Yeah.
Whereas Okada didn't have as many others, not with Tanahashi, as high as Tanahashi. So gave the edge to Hiroshi on that. And then shout out to Daniel Bryan, who I talked about not being the best technical wrestler, certainly still could be if he wanted to be. And but whatever he's doing, whatever style, he's always one of, if not the best, and has been 100% consistently for the last 12 years. So no reason to stop now. And honorable mention to Kevin Steen, because I think he's awesome. And has the same body type as me.
Very true. Now, we did match of the year, but we did 3.
Yeah.
Do you think you can do yours 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do our 3s.
Can I do honorable mentions before my 3?
How many honorable mentions do you have?
Well, I have 3 written down, but I can think of a couple others that I also really liked.
You don't need to do them.
All right. I'll just say, this is where I do them anyway, despite you telling me not to. Against all odds, John Cena had maybe my 2 favorite WWE matches this year. Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam and CM Punk on Raw in February.
Yep.
I guess the one other contender would be Punk Taker at Mania, and maybe Punk Lesnar at SummerSlam, and those are the best WWE matches. Saw a bunch of great PWG matches. I don't have any on my list, and most of them I already talked about anyway. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
What was your favorite TNA match there?
That's a rough question. I don't have a great answer to it. Did Joe do anything good this year?
Nope.
Did Aries do anything good? Did Aries and Saban have a good match or something?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Well,
Yeah, that's actually I would love to do a project on TNA match of the year this year because
Good luck.
I don't know what you do.
The only problem is you'd have to watch every match for the whole year.
Yeah, let's not talk crazy.
Yeah. So you can do 3, 2, 1 though?
I can do 3, 2, 1.
Okay, well my number 3...
Spoiler, they're all from one Fed.
That's the thing is, I didn't want to do just New Japan. Obviously...
That's why I wanted to give my shout-outs, because I wanted to recognize there are other good matches in other Feds.
all New Japan, there were...
But my top 3 are New
There
Japan.
were a million good New Japan matches.
Yeah.
Amazing New Japan matches. I wanted to just take one different than the others. So I'm going to say the WWE match of the year, which would be my number 3, was CM Punk and Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Yep.
I was debating between that and Daniel Bryan and Cena, but I feel like the Punk and Lesnar one just kind of was a little bit higher than that. So that's my number 3, and the WWE match of the year.
Okay.
And what do you have?
We're going like that. Number 3, I was torn. Number 3, I was trying to decide the best match of the G1 is my number 3, and there were 3 candidates that I had to pick between. Nakamura and Kota Ibushi, which was an awesome veteran underdog match, and like Ibushi, I've loved Ibushi for a while. It's probably the best he's ever looked, just because there was a little more psychology to the match because of the inherent story in it.
Do you wish you were his Kenny Omega?
Not that much. And Shibata Ishii from the same day as the previously mentioned match, where they just decided to kill each other. Mm-hmm. And but I went with largely because of the crowd heat and because of the surprise win and all that stuff, and the fact the match ruled and everything that went into it. Tanahashi versus Ishii from day 2 of the G1, because when Ishii hit the Steiner screwdriver on Tanahashi right on his fucking skull and pinned him, and after having hit his brainbuster, which is normally his finisher, which Tanahashi kicked out of, and the crowd was all thinking, well, yeah, he's our hometown guy, and it's cool they put him in the main event, because they usually don't. He's usually in the mid-card, but they put him in the main against Tanahashi, so we got to see him. We got to see him hit his finisher. Tanahashi kicked out of the finisher. All right, Tanahashi goes and wins now. Ishii just picks him up, hits a screwdriver, pins him 1, 2, 3. Crowd loses their goddamn minds, and rightly so. It was awesome. Number 3.
That's good. Well, my number 2 was what I thought was my favorite G1 match, but I only saw 3 days, I think. But it's well-deserved. 2 of my favorites. One whose gear I modeled myself after.
I think I know which one this
is. That would be Tomohiro Ishii versus Shibata.
Yep.
Nothing but beating the shit out of each other.
Yep.
I love watching either one of them wrestle like anybody. I like angry Japanese guys kicking and punching each other and slapping each other. So that's my number 2 match of the year.
Yep. No argument there. My number 2, guy I mentioned in my number 3 match, Hiroshi Tanahashi, taking on Kazuchika Okada, who's also been talked about a little bit this show. From April 7th, 2013, that was Shibata's title win over Tanahashi, and it was the match that I wanted at the January Dome show in this time last year, actually, because Okada won the G1 and was getting the big title shot at in January against Tanahashi. I thought he was going to win, and they had a great match, like top 5 or 10 match of the year, top 10, probably not the top 5, and it was great. Tanahashi won. I was just expecting something slightly more from it. I think I wanted one more kick out, and I think even more so I wanted Okada to win. And then I was kind of surprised they were doing a rematch as fast as they were in April. And it was literally everything I wanted the Tanahashi, the title match from January to be. Like, it had that extra kick out, it had that little bit more drama, and then then the right guy won in Okada, and has been great ever since. So, yeah, Okada's title win from April is my number 2.
Not to jump on your coattails, because it's not like I haven't been doing that the entire 10 years we've been friends.
Fair.
If I had gone with all New Japan matches, that match would have been in instead of Punk and Lesnar.
Okay.
But just because I wanted to choose an E match, that got replaced. My number one, I kind of hope it's your number one because that would be ridiculously awesome.
I don't think it is actually.
Okay, that's fair. Kazuchika Okada versus Tanahashi from King of Pro Wrestling.
It is.
Oh.
I
Wow.
thought you had a different number one.
Which one did you think I had number one?
I thought you had Shibata Goto.
That one, also amazing, but the Okada-Tanahashi match, simply because of the Okada's arm and him selling that arm when he had the red ink locked in and had it, and then his arm gave out, and he had to let go, and the Tanahashi faking the injury, and the over-the-top uppercut of that arm.
Hammering the shit out of his arm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing match. And I thought the finish happened 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
I thought, bam, Tanahashi's winning right there, and then, oh shit, he's not, and then Okada's winning right there, and then he's not, and then, just everything about that match went exactly the way it needed to go, and amazing match.
Yeah, and I've got the same number one, so I'm just going to keep talking about it. Same thing as you, even more so than the number 2 match, and just want to note that wasn't even intending to do it, but Tanahashi's in all 3 of my top 3, so I guess he does deserve to be my number 1 wrestler as well. Even more so than the Okada title win, which I loved, and I didn't think they could possibly do a better match than it. I think they somehow actually did in October, and again, I was surprised, and I think everyone was surprised, when after the September pay-per-view, Tanahashi came out and challenged Okada. They're like, oh, their 3rd title match this year. Like, that's not really that common in New Japan. They usually spread it out a lot more. It's like different every month. And so, like, great. Like, obviously they do good work together. They've had several good matches together this year, but, like, I can't really be the level of the April one. And, yeah, you said they somehow stepped it up even more.
Yeah.
I think, same as you, I bit on more finishes than even the April match.
Yeah.
It had the best selling of any of the matches.
The best selling.
And, yeah, there's nothing that basically wasn't perfect about the match. And... yeah, it was awesome. I think almost in the vein of a match getting bonus points because you saw it live. We certainly weren't in Tokyo or Sapporo or wherever it was, but we did watch it live, on internet pay-per-view. And we were on a trip, so it was like we traveled somewhere for it.
Yeah, we traveled to Tennessee to watch King of Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. So and just like it was cool being like on the other side of the country and watching a wrestling pay-per-view from somewhere way else. Just as it was different. It's not where we usually watch it, and yeah, it was just so. I don't know if you could say it was surprising because everything they did already this year was great, but I think it was a little bit surprising that it was the best one.
It was the 3rd match in the series, and the first 2 had been that good.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone expected it to top the last one,
also too, at the end of this match, I got my favorite part of the year. So
you got Carl Anderson losing his mind.
Carl Anderson screaming in Okada's face.
Yeah.
So that
and telling
made
the Japanese
match,
people they're stupid because they don't speak English.
Yeah. The match was made even better by that happening at the end.
So I
am glad that we had the same match.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I just remember because
I watched Shibata Goto like 300 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's top 5. It's in the top 5. It's number 4. It's number 4.
Yeah.
Number 5. It's in there.
Yeah. And that's everything.
Yeah, that was our year of awards.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
the first
good.
time we've done them.
Yeah. Let's do them again.
Let's do them again.
I like this.
Next year before the Dome show.
Sounds good. I'm in.
So you can expect it January 3rd of 2015.
Expect us to record it January 3rd of 2015 and come out just
sometime after.
After. We'll get this out pretty quick.
I think it was 2 hours, by the way.
Probably.
2-hour review show.
Hey, you can't, you try giving awards faster than that.
Just under 2 hours.
Oh, it's fine. Hour 54.
Hour 54.
Not our worst.
Not at all.
All right.
Well, that's the end of this one.
we'll see you for another one. Depending on if we record again soon, it'll be a review of the Dome show or something else. I don't know. Fuck it. WrestleMania. Our next show will be a review of WrestleMania 32. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. See you then.